Barry Gibb, born Barry Allen Crompton Gibb on September 1st, 1946, in Douglas, Isle of Man, grew up in a working-class family with a childhood shaped by frequent moves. His family relocated several times from Manchester, England, to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia. It was in Australia where Barry's musical talents began to truly develop. As a young boy, he demonstrated a natural aptitude for songwriting and melody. He often collaborated with his brothers, Maurice and Robin, with whom he shared an almost intuitive musical bond. This connection laid the foundation for what would later become the legendary Bee Gees. Barry's early exposure to the world of music through his brothers led him to pursue a career that would not only change his life, but also leave an indelible mark on the music industry. His commitment to music was clear from the start, and his journey was about to take him to unprecedented heights. Rise to stardom. The Bee Gees' breakthrough. As the frontman and primary songwriter of the Bee Gees, Barry Gibb helped shape one of the most successful pop acts of all time. The Bee Gees became synonymous with the disco era of the late 1970s, and Barry's signature falsetto voice became a defining characteristic of their sound. The group's hits, such as Stayin' Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, and Night Fever, became timeless anthems that captured the spirit of the era. These songs not only dominated the charts, but also defined the cultural landscape. Beyond the Bee Gees' success, Barry proved his versatility by writing and producing hit songs for other artists, such as Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers' Islands in the Stream, and Barbra Streisand's Woman in Love. His impact on popular music was undeniable, with his songwriting spanning across genres, from pop to soul to country. Barry's songwriting genius and legacy Barry Gibb's songwriting talents were recognized across the world for their emotional depth and musical innovation. As the principal songwriter and arranger for the Bee Gees, he crafted some of the most emotionally resonant hits in music history. Songs like To Love Somebody, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, and Words not only showcased his incredible songwriting ability, but also his ability to tap into universal emotions that connected with listeners. Barry's falsetto became the iconic sound of the disco era, and the Bee Gees' contributions to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack cemented their place in music history. With over 220 million records sold worldwide, the Bee Gees became one of the best-selling music acts of all time. Barry's influence continues to resonate today, with countless artists drawing inspiration from his work, triumphs and tragedies. The Bee Gees' journey. Despite their success, the Bee Gees' journey was not without tragedy. Barry's life and career were deeply affected by the loss of his brothers, Andy, Maurice, and Robin. Andy Gibb's untimely death in 1988 from heart failure was the first blow to Barry, and it left a profound impact. In 2003, Maurice Gibb's sudden death from complications related to a twisted intestine was another devastating moment in Barry's life. Finally, in 2012, Robin Gibb passed away after a long battle with cancer. Barry became the last surviving member of the Bee Gees, and these losses deeply affected him. Yet, despite the grief, Barry continued to carry the Bee Gees' legacy forward. He performed and recorded new music, including his solo album In the Now in 2016, a more introspective reflection of his life and the emotional weight of losing his brothers. A home between two worlds, Barry's dual identity. Barry Gibb's personal life reflects his connection to both his British roots and his adopted American home. Though born in the Isle of Man and raised in Manchester, Barry moved to the United States in 1974 at the height of the Bee Gees' fame. In 2009, Barry and his wife Linda became naturalized citizens of the U.S., but retained their British citizenship, symbolizing their deep ties to both countries. Barry's life in the U.S. has allowed him to fully immerse himself in his music career, but his heart remains connected to the U.K. He still owns property there and frequently visits, honoring his heritage. One of the most notable aspects of his life in the U.S. was his purchase of the legendary home once owned by country music icons Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash in 2006. Barry envisioned transforming the property into a creative retreat for musicians. However, a tragic fire in 2007 destroyed the home during renovations. While Barry was devastated, he eventually rebuilt and moved forward, holding on to the memories of the property's musical significance. The first meeting, Lennon's aura and wit. Barry Gibb's first encounter with John Lennon took place at a music industry party in London in the late 1960s. Barry recalled feeling nervous as he crossed paths with Lennon, whose magnetic presence immediately made him the center of attention. But it wasn't just Lennon's celebrity that captivated Barry. It was his sharp intellect and disarming sense of humor. In private, Barry noted that Lennon was surprisingly warm and thoughtful, a stark contrast to his public persona of biting wit and defiance. Barry remembered a compliment Lennon gave the Bee Gees about their vocal blend, calling it beautifully strange, a remark that stayed with him for decades. This personal interaction revealed to Barry a side of Lennon that many people may not have seen, the vulnerable and introspective man beneath the public image. Dissecting the complicated dynamic between the Beatles and the Bee Gees throughout the 1970s, as the Bee Gees' fame reached new heights, Barry often wondered about Lennon's opinion of the group's transformation. While disco was often dismissed as a fleeting trend, Barry felt that Lennon, as a boundary-pushing artist, would have respected their ability to evolve and innovate. Barry never had the chance to ask Lennon directly, but in later interviews with those close to him, he learned that Lennon had privately admired the Bee Gees' songwriting, particularly their ability to connect with audiences. However, Barry acknowledged that there were complicated emotional dynamics between the two groups. Lennon had made dismissive remarks about the Bee Gees in public, but Barry now understands that these comments were likely a reflection of Lennon's internal struggles with fame, identity, and personal pain. Lennon's death, a personal and cultural loss. The news of John Lennon's death in December 1980 hit Barry Gibb particularly hard. He was in a studio in Miami when he learned of the tragic event. Barry described the feeling as if the world just stopped, as though a piece of history had been lost. For Barry, Lennon's death was not just the loss of a musical peer, but the loss of a cultural titan whose voice had brought meaning and hope to a generation. Barry recalled crying that night, grieving not just for Lennon's family, but for the millions of people who had looked to him for guidance and inspiration. Lennon's murder marked a pivotal moment in Barry's life, as he mourned the loss of a man who had influenced not just music, but society at large. Honoring John Lennon, Barry Gibb's reflection on their connection. Now, in his late 70s, Barry Gibb reflects on John Lennon with deep respect and admiration. He no longer views Lennon as just a mythic figure, but as a flawed, brilliant, and human individual who challenged the world to think and feel more deeply. Barry's own music was shaped by Lennon's example, particularly in how Lennon's honesty and willingness to push boundaries inspired Barry to push the Bee Gees in new creative directions. Barry confessed that after speaking with Lennon, he stopped trying to please everyone and focused on making music that was real and meaningful to him. In speaking the truth about his relationship with John Lennon, Barry Gibb has offered a rare glimpse into his deep reverence for the man who inspired not just him, but millions of others around the world.